Hi, I'm Jenny Williams with Get a Real Estate Life Coaching Program, and welcome to our Google Hangout, 60 Minutes to Six Figures, where every Monday at 1 o'clock we share with you free tools and information that can definitely help grow your business. Today, we're actually going to be talking about how to create a winning marketing and promotion plan for your listing so that they can stand out in your market and gain a whole lot of exposure. We're going to be giving you tons and tons of tips today, and all of these tips will lead into even more information about becoming an expert marketer for listings from a designation that we recently created called the Certified Home Marketing Expert designation. And we'll give you more information about how you can get that designation and how you can earn it. Before we talk more about that, I want to please welcome my guest today, Kimberly Bibb with Get a Real Estate Life. Kimberly, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good. Kimberly, up until January, was actively selling real estate and had an inventory of over 40 listings that she managed very easily without a real estate assistant and with a lot of happy clients. So, of course, it made perfect sense for her, not only as a business coach with our program, but also as someone who was a heavy lister, to join us in providing, how to create this kind of plan. Our next guest is co-owner of the Mega Agent Real Estate team at RE/MAX Advantage South in Birmingham, Alabama, Collier. Welcome.
Hey. How are you, Jenny?
Hey, Collier. Collier's team sold about 120 transactions last year, and he's always focused on listings, he and Mark both, and right now they have about 35 active listings on the market, and you talk about out-of-the-box thinker when it comes to exposure and marketing, and that's why, of course, he was the perfect fit to be a guest today to help you build this winning marketing and promotion plan. And of course, we cannot leave Scott out. Scott?
Thanks, Jenny. Yeah, good to be here.
Good.
I want to mention real quick to everyone that's watching right now, there's a Q&A on the right. Ask any questions. We'll jump in and get those answered for you throughout the Hangout today.
Well, we're so thankful for Scott because he answers all the questions and keeps us on track so that we're not boring and we're giving you the information that you have traded your time for today. So, before we start talking about how to build this plan exactly, Collier, I want to start with you. What do you feel is the most important thing when you're talking about marketing your properties for sale?
Well, I think it's really the question behind the question, Jenny. It's one thing to have great marketing, but it's another thing what happens after you do the good marketing that invites a response from the consumer. Are you wasting all that marketing time and dollar and then not answering your phone or not having a system in place in which to respond to that consumer call and that sort of thing? So really, what we've tried to do is really put systems in place to protect us from ourselves and to make sure that when we're spending all that money on marketing that we're actually going to see a return because we're actually responding to the consumer. Okay,
so what you're saying is, one, make sure that you've got systems in place that can handle large volume.
Absolutely.
And two, that you can convert every lead that comes in. Otherwise, you're just wasting your money on the marketing dollars.
Absolutely, and I think one of the biggest things is if you're only carrying 5 listings now, don't think that's where you're going to be forever. You need to keep thinking, well, what will I be able to do at 10? When I get to 20? Because if you're in this business, you're going to get to 20, to 30, to 40, whatever, but you're going to need systems now so that when you get there, it's going to be seamless because you're going to get real busy real fast, and you need to be able to handle not only the listing side of the business, but remember, hopefully you're getting 2 or 3 buyers out of each listing. I mean, at least that's what you need to aim for. We all know we don't hit that on every listing because they're not all the greatest listings, but we need to be aimed for it, and then we have to have systems in place to respond to both because remember, that listing is going to want to have some of your time and So from a marketing standpoint, though, those systems will help market to that current listing client, because they're going to go out and tell everybody about how smooth your systems are and things that are making it easy on them. And so also remember that you're marketing the whole time that house is listed.
Okay, so systems is such a buzzword, and it can mean so many different things, and automatically people will think some kind of complicated, convoluted, high technology situation. Give us an idea of what one system is that you're talking about.
Well, for instance, every week we reach out to every single one of our clients. We do a market update email. Are you communicating? That's a system. That's systematized in that it's timed. They know that they're going to get that email every single week. And like I say, that's a marketing tool, because hey, most agents aren't doing it, and we're confident in that. And usually, a lot of times right now we're picking up we're the second listing agent, not the first, but the second or the third. And when you're doing little things like that, it stands out to them. But you say, what's a system? It doesn't have to be on. You can use a yellow pad if you want. It's not high tech. It's just repetitive. It's duplicatable. It's something and the other thing is to make sure other people can understand whatever system you're using.
Okay, so Kimberly, I completely understand where Collier's coming from. What do you find is the most important thing, when you take a listing?
Well, I agree with everything that Collier is saying, and the reason that I was able to handle 40-something listings at all times without being all stressed out is because I did have those systems in place. And some of them were just having an accordion file in my car with not color flyers, but just flyers. So if I found myself on the other part of town in the day, that I could unexpectedly, that I could just go ahead and replenish flyers. Sometimes it was sending a PDF to my sellers and saying, if I can't replenish your flyers, here's a PDF, if you can print, the copies at your office, that would be great. And they were always, fabulous to do that. But I think one of the most important things when you're marketing your listing is to remember that you're not just selling brick and mortar and bedrooms and bathrooms, that you're selling, a lifestyle, and you're not just selling a house, but you're selling a home, and to really appeal to that emotional side of it. So I tried to set my listings apart from everything else that a potential buyer would have seen during the day, because sometimes they'll see 7, 8, 10 houses in a day. When they walked into my house that was on the market, I wanted them to get that warm, fuzzy feeling. I wanted for it to instantly say something about hospitality and warmth. And so, I did a couple of different things with that. A lot of my houses were vacant. I would have a picture frame on the counter saying, welcome to 195 Oak Circle. There's cold water in the refrigerator. And then I would have a little candy dish with, gummy candy for the children, power bars for the adults. Have them, have a little note that says help themselves. So instantly, they got a great feeling, and it set my house apart from all the others that they may see that day. Great. And another thing that I did is I always tried to appeal to the emotional side, because I think that's where people buy houses, and in the program we study disc profiles and everything like that. But I also wanted to provide them, the potential home buyer, with as much information and answer all the questions that they could think of, while they were at the house.
Right, so they didn't have to ask questions later.
Yes, and so they were comfortable staying at my house longer. That's why even though I wasn't there, I was feeding them and giving them things to drink and giving them time to look at all the information that I had at the house. So a lot of it would be a selling booklet, not something that was just a master copy, but a little booklet that they could take with them. And on the first page was like a letter from the home seller to the potential buyer, telling them why they fell in love with the house, telling one page had updates. Their letter may even say things about, you know, the neighbor down the street and how wonderful it is to live in that community and the things that they'll love and the things that they'll miss when they're moving on. And sometimes it even said things about why they were moving, because all home buyers wonder. And you know, you don't want them to think that the house is falling apart or it's needing a new roof or a new air conditioner, so I better get out of here quick. You know, I wanted to tell them if it was a job transfer or if they were having a baby, we needed to, you know, get to something bigger because now we have 4 or 5 children. I tried to answer all of those questions. So on one page was a letter to the potential home buyer. On the next page, maybe it was recent updates, you know, and maintenance issues and warranties. On one page, there may have been a survey, and you know, another page may be their average utility bills, because that's all things that a home buyer needs to know. That depending on the caliber of their agent, whether or not they get them answered, you know, who knows. So I just wanted them to stay there. I wanted them to take that booklet with them, and I wanted to set my listing apart from the other 10 that they may see that day.
Well, and I actually used to do the same thing when I was selling. I had a book in there, and actually I didn't want them to take it with them because I wanted them to stay there so they could read the information there and feel connected to it. But it's very typical, and Collier, I know you know this as well, for a buyer to say, if you can get me the average of this and find out this and find out that, then I'll think about making an offer.
Well, you know, one thing I think we all got to remember is, at least from what I've seen in the Birmingham market, our target market when we're marketing is to women. I think the buyers right now are buyers under 40 on average, and 1 or 2 kids, and the decision maker being a woman. So I think what Kimberly was alluding to on a lot of those items, they were to alleviate the unknown for a prospective mother, you know, and women think very. I know this will shock everybody. Scott, chime in if you got an opinion, but women buy off emotion. And they can be emotional.
Buy off emotion too.
Well, they do.
Buy off emotion too. And these books, though, Collier, not only help woo the ladies into the information that they want, but they also help solidify, if you will, the logical side for the man. Because with the warranties, you know, with the HOA situation, having that copy of covenants and restrictions and you know, those types of things. So I would say maybe that's where you start. I was going to say the first place to start in building your plan, and agents, if you would please get a piece of paper out so you can start kind of writing this down as you build your plan. The first place to start is to ask your seller for either a video that you use with your phone and easily, you know, record, and doesn't have to be polished. In fact, a lot of times people trust the videos that aren't so polished. But you can whip that out, ask the seller to give you, you know, the reasons why they bought the house and what they loved about it, or to write that letter that Kimberly was talking about. That gives you the whole foundation for who your target market's going to be, because it's going to be that same person in the place where they were when they bought the house. Then you can design your entire message around that.
You know, Jenny, one thing that I found really interesting on the utilities and all that, I think we live in such a Twitter generation, we want it now, is that if you don't have that information on the front end of the transaction when you get the listing, a lot of times if you're having to track that down for a day or two, those buyers that are coming with another agent may have moved on because, like you said, every relationship has a nerd and a free spirit, and if that nerd isn't satisfied with the information before him, he may move on.
Well, let's talk about, I mean, because you guys are talking about when you get the buyer into the home, you have these things in place, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about before they even get into the home. What are you guys doing to attract the buyers or other agents to get there in the first place?
Okay, so again, we start with that emotional pull, right, and figuring out who your target market is. And agents, after you ask the seller that you want to put to, who is my target market? So you know exactly, right? Marketing 101 is the right message to the right audience. So that's, you know, number 2 on your list is who's my target market, and then number 3 is where can I reach my target market? because you have to get your message to those certain people. Where do they live right now? Where do they work right now? Who are their friends? What are their trends? Where do they hang out? What do they do for fun? Are they online? Where are they online? These are all questions you have to ask so that you can build that message and put it into the right place. Then from there, I say, and y'all step up and agree or disagree, but from there goes the plan for the house, how to make it packaged well. And then we go to MLS, because MLS is that's where you order the right photos and you have the right presentation. And then, Kimberly, you know what I'm going to say here about MLS. So if you want to share it, agents, is really important about how to put that proper placement in MLS.
Yeah, I think that's really key, and the right internet placement, the right MLS placement, that makes all the difference in the world. And you need to let the potential home buyer, you need to set your listing apart on the internet, because I think, and Jenny can correct me if I'm wrong, I think like 85% of all home searches start on the internet. So when you put your MLS descriptions in there, you need to once again make them stand apart. A lot of agents, a couple of ways not to stand apart is to say consumer notes coming soon, and that's all you say, or to write the whole description in all caps. That's not what to do. But you want to have the staging, you want to have the professional photos, and you want to appeal to the scanners, like the ladies that Collier says were so emotional. You want to appeal to the readers that will read the whole MLS description, because that's all they're thinking about, but also to the scanners. So you want to have certain information in all caps, like maybe the features, because sometimes, since for those logical minds, you want to have the granite countertops in all bold. You want to have new heating and air conditioning in all bold, or all caps rather. You want to have new refinished hardwoods. You want to have certain things in all caps, but with the rest of the MLS description, you want to tell a story and sell the lifestyle and talk about the community and how they may feel living in that home. So
right.
I think
make it so dry where it's nice 3-bedroom with granite countertops, fresh paint. Who wants to live there? Okay, there are lots of places like that. Tell me what it's like for me to raise my children there. What is my marriage going to be like within these 4 walls? What is my life, or what could it be like? Paint that picture, because that's what we all buy into. The certain neighborhoods we buy into because of location and address, not because of what the floor plan is.
Wait, Jenny, Jenny, what's really interesting? One of the best. I use my wife. She's as far away from being in real estate, other than being married to a realtor, that you can get. And when I watch her looking for houses, that's always out of our price range. But anyway, that's a typical buyer. One thing she does do is she sorts by number of photos. And that was eye-opening for me. And so if you're not maxing out the number of photos, you're missing. I know she's not alone on that. The MLS allows a certain number. You need to have it there. Just go. In many cases, we have some good REO agents, but for the most part, go look at how most REO agents here in Birmingham are marketing their property. It's very sloppy in the MLS. It's not what Kimberly was talking about. I'll give you another example that does affect the consumer. It's when you're labeling the floors in which certain bedrooms are on. It needs to be in order. All first-level rooms, then all second-level rooms, and then all basement rooms together. And the reason is, when somebody's out of a property, they need to know how many bedrooms are on the main level. They need to be able to look real quickly, otherwise it gets frustrating.
I agree completely. And for us, we were there, so we know that this extra room is a bedroom. But not everybody's going to know that. So we need to make sure that we label that and continue the story. One of the things that you want to do, and Scott, this will hopefully answer your question as well, is have an attention-getting headline, just like you're writing an ad in MLS, because that is going to break through the clutter on the internet. Think about it. When people, just like Amanda, your wife, looking for houses, when she sorts through them, right, she's going to be looking at a bunch of them at one time.
Absolutely.
And when she's scanning, then you got to have that attention-getting headline that is straight talking to me, saying, hey, hey, buy me, stop here, check me out, right? And you're not going to get that by saying things like move-in ready, because a lot of people put that on their listing, and they are not move-in ready or completely updated just because you put some fresh paint on the wall. Okay, don't lie to people. But what you can say is, you know, put that paintbrush down. And then you can go from there to talk about how decorator colors were selected to set the tone and the new lifestyle in this house, etc. But you're breaking through the clutter. All right, so MLS placement starts with that right headline, that interrupting headline that grabs attention, telling the story and the flow of the lifestyle of what it's like to live there, highlighting some of the features, but again, do not fill up your descriptions with feature, 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 because people do not buy houses with features, and the consumer has come to expect certain features with almost every home these days.
Absolutely.
So it becomes white noise. And then one of the things that you can do after you've got your proper MLS placement, and Frank kind of said this the other day on our last Google Hangout, which I thought was great information. He said go through and with your phone and take a rough video of the house and narrate it. And you know, with nothing polished, just do a walkthrough of the house. So you've got that in your back pocket. Some people like to do the 360 tours, and some houses really do, you know, may call for that. But you'll probably can pull this out of your pocket on that video at any time and say, you know what, this is kind of what the house looks like. And you'll get people excited about wanting to see the inside of it. I know a lot of people will FaceTime their clients these days as they're walking through the house just to be able to get people in there. I think that we can't leave out signage. Signage is extremely important because signage will attract that buyer, like what Scott's saying. You know, how do you get them in there first? And if you have really well-designed writers on your signs, first of all, your post signs are normally going to stand out, okay? So you may want to spend a little extra money by getting your post signs and use that post sign to its fullest advantage by placing riders above and below your for sale sign, and make it something catchy, like some kind of feature inside the house so people will notice. And don't do something like new listing.
Or honey, stop the car.
Cliche. And you know what? At one time, that was probably genius. You know, but you know, let's move on from there. Do something like a crazy stone fireplace. Well, what's a crazy fireplace? Well, come inside and see.
Well, you know, when I think about, you know, Amanda would, and she has, it's a feature, like you're saying, gigantic kitchen. She'll call me and say, hey, that one over there on Rocky Ridge Road has a gigantic kitchen. And I'll say, well, Amanda, that's just some realtor telling us that.
Like me.
That's right. Well, okay, so there is a house that is on the market right now in my neighborhood, and it has beat my husband out now for the actual biggest deck in the neighborhood. Ooh. And if you put that rider out there, right, people want to see that kind of thing. It'll get the curiosity up, but it's going to get stale quickly. So you have to get a new one out, right, to attract the next person, because it'll start being white noise and it'll blend in. I crack up laughing on those new price that have stayed there for 3 months, or new listing that's still there 5 months later when the sign fell over. So you have to pay attention to your marketing.
You know, Jenny, one thing you could do there, you know, that is have a writer that said, we have the biggest ... I know, let's don't go anywhere crazy, but at least it would be begging the question of what, you know, it would make Amanda wonder, because that's all she cares about is size, and it's got to be nice.
In price range, I'm sure. You never know what you're going to get when Collier comes on board. So.
Right.
I got a question for you. How important is it? I mean, you have these different places where you're marketing the property. How important is it to track where the lead source is coming from so that you know where your marketing dollars are going and working the best for you?
It's extremely important. In fact, the next tool that I want to make sure that agents, you'll put this on your marketing plan, is using the proper property flyers. And when you use 800 numbers, then you can track your dollar for that and find out, you know, if your marketing is working there. And 800 numbers will raise your sign calls by 57%. So to me, it's a complete no-brainer. It's extremely cost-effective, and again, it tracks your dollar. You can also put those 800 numbers on your Every Door direct mailers, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But Kimberly, you were fantastic at being able to convert buyers and sellers off the proper property flyers. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think property flyers with 1-800 numbers, that was one, outside of referrals, that was probably my #1 conversion tool. But a lot of people say, you know, flyers don't work for me, I don't believe in them. But you have to realize, you know, a lot of times the agent will put bedrooms, bathrooms, price, the entire MLS description on. You're taking away every reason for a potential buyer to call you. So, you know, like Collier said about the ... you want to give a reason for them to call. You want to make them wonder and pique their curiosity. So the 800 numbers were great for me. I had no beds, no baths, no price, just a few pictures. I didn't show them the whole house. And then when a potential buyer would call the 1-800 number, like we have a system here, you'll hear a recorded description, and then it'll say, for up-to-date and current pricing, press 0, and if they press 0, then the call was connected to me. But if they didn't, if they just hung up after listening to the description, where I gave them more information, like number of bedrooms and bathrooms, and a little bit about the lifestyle, if they didn't press 0, whether they did or they didn't, it would send me their phone number and the property address that they were inquiring about. So I had, you know, 40-something listings, and I had a photo album that I put in my purse. And if I got a message that said 195 Oak Circle with a phone number, I would turn to that page real quick, remind myself about my own listing, you know, because if you knew certain information, they would ask about the lot size, or, you know, it's easy to get them confused and to keep up.
When you have 40 of them too.
Yeah, so I knew what they were calling about, but if they didn't call me, I would pick up the phone and call them right back and just say, hey, this is Kimberly with, you know, so-and-so company. I'm so sorry I missed your call. Were you calling about 195 Oak Circle? That's a great house. And then I would keep them talking. If the house was vacant, I would say, you know, that house is vacant right now, or maybe it wasn't vacant and I knew the owners were at work. Why don't you go look around at that backyard? You know, it's an oasis, or it's got a beautiful swimming pool, or no backyard neighbors. And I bet you want to know about the price of the home. Then I would look it up and tell them I was looking up the price. And then I would ask them, you know, things about their lifestyle, depending on, you know, the target market of that listing. So I may ask them if they had children. That house is zoned for Oak Mountain School System. You know, I would just keep them on the phone and keep them talking. And once they figured out that I was pretty friendly and that I wasn't going to bite, you know, then I was able to schedule a buyer consultation. And, you know, and then I also had like a competition binder. So if that one was too much for them, when I told them the price, I could say, you know, go a couple of streets down, or go look at Ty Lane. You know, it's just a few streets down. That one's $10,000 less, and I think that would probably suit all your needs. So I would be able to show them my house and other agents' houses just by knowing my competition. So
right. Building a relationship.
Fabulous. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Collier, you also use that method to promote your listings.
Absolutely. We've used Arch Telecom since probably '07, really. You know, there's many providers out there. You can name them. Even text. You got to do something that's going to invoke the call. You can't just throw it all out there and expect, you know, show them everything, tell them everything, including the price. One reason that agents should not put price on there is we as a group are too lazy to go change them out the same day we make the price change. So, you know, that's a big one, because then you're missing out on people coming out there thinking that, well, the price is such and such, and really the price is going down. But we do we put them through the same follow-up, and quite frankly, if you're using a top producer or you're using whatever CRM, most of them now can take that Arch Telecom call or whatever system you're using and deposit it right into your follow-up system.
Yeah, which is great. And what's funny is, Collier, aren't you still using a template I made for you in Arch, like what, how many years ago?
Yeah, we're using, the front has stayed the same, which is the main part. Yeah, the back's changed a little bit, but it's not where really the strong calls to action are located. So, yeah, we're using the same simple call to action with 2 to 3 photos. Look, it's not about us either. That's the other thing. Remember, when they're pulling that flyer, they don't care about seeing your 30-year-old photo on the front, nor do they care about. They want information on that house, and we got to make it so that it's enticing enough for them to want to call about it.
Right, and Carter brings up a really good point, because he talked about the back of it. Well, that's another way that you can get exposure, and you can put that on your list. You have to have buy-in from the seller and explain it to the seller, though, before you do it. But when you tell this seller, look, all of my other listings are going to be on the back of your property flyer because you're going to be on the back of all my other listings. And think about that. For Kimberly, who has 40, Collier has 35 right now, that's a lot of other exposures from buyers who are actively looking in the market and ready to buy now. That's one thing that Arch Telecom will give you, and that's ready to buy now buyers. Okay, I hear this from agents all the time. I don't want that out there because I'd just rather them call me. Well, they're not going to call you because you're a salesperson. And this, if you can give them a non-pressure, systematic way for them to get information about the house, they're going to choose that every single time. You're going to have maybe one person stop by and say, yeah, let me call that agent on the side. But it's extremely rare. So again, this is the psychology of sales, and when you tap into that and learn it, then you can put these exposure items into your list so that you can get more attention on your listings. Let's talk about internet, guys. We touched on it a tiny bit because through MLS, it will shoot it out to all different places on the internet. But you need to be showing up everywhere that buyers are looking. And where's the #1 place buyers go to? Yeah, I saw Collier like mumble it over there, but yes, Zillow. They're going to Zillow. So, Collier, what do you do on your listings for Zillow?
Well, let me start by defending realtors everywhere and saying that we all hate Zillow, but we got to play with Zillow. Look, they've established themselves as the leader, and they're a game changer in our industry. So, and they SEO so well all across the country. So we need to make sure we're there, and then we need to make sure that one thing, any of these websites, you need to make sure not only is the data there, but is the information accurate that's on these sites? Because especially if it's been listed 1 or 2 times and you come in with professional photography, sometimes, for instance, the photography will get caught up and they'll merge everything, so you don't get the benefit on the #1 search site of your photographs being the ones that are displaying properly. Look, marketing's not a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's a hands-on project that you got to keep going every day. You need to be having some way to check on these sites because, look, Zillow is an advertising company first, not a real estate advertising company, but they're an advertising company first. So whatever they want to do with our data, we need to make sure it's in the best interest of our clients. And so the good news is they'll let you change it. So really make sure that photos, descriptions, those type things are yours.
So are you getting extended, do you pay for extended profiles?
Well, with them, yeah. I mean, of course, you pay by the zip code. You know, if you're not doing anything else, just get it out there and get you the cheapest zip code you possibly can, just so you'll have some level of featured status on your listings. I believe they give you the 25 or something like that if you'll just pay them something. You know, Trulia, I think they're still trying to figure the game out. Realtor.com, well, they're like Vanderbilt is in the SEC. They're not very good, but they're trying to come back with. They've made some big acquisitions lately, and so they're trying. So really kind of think about where you're putting your money, and then make sure if you're going to put your money there that you back it up by spending some time every week at least, making sure your data is right.
Okay, and what about Googling the property address?
I am not as, you know, I think the vanity domains are okay. I think that I would much rather them come to my website. I think I'll tell you the truth. I don't think many people really remember the address name. I mean, the address numbers. I think they have to.
I can tell you that is exactly how my husband searches. He Googles the address of whatever property that he sees that he's interested in because he will not talk to the agent. So, but what I'm finding is that whenever you Google certain property addresses, the listing agent is not the one coming up.
Absolutely.
More often times.
Well,
and I'm not talking about vanity landing pages.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that comes down to what their overall the marketing strategy of the agents, not necessarily are they spending money on SEO and those type of things. And why is it that Zillow comes up? Because they're SEOing so well. And the other thing to keep in mind though is I think that there's less of those people. Otherwise, I think that Zillow wouldn't be where they are if so many people were putting them in. Because you know Jay Williams is a very high C. He thinks about everything. He thinks about the idea that he doesn't want to talk to a realtor. Whereas I think that you said there was a nerd. We talked about being a nerd and a free spirit. I think the free spirits, they'll go anywhere they can find an organized group of listings like a Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, those type of places.
Well, I would recommend upgrading your account on ListHub so that you can get better information out there about who you are and also about your listings as well. And that, remember, will shoot out to most everywhere that you need to be on the internet. So that brings us to social media. And I think when we are posting it on our private pages, it is overkill. If we are taking the links from MLS and constantly posting, I know that even I have that. But let me give you a free tip that you can put in your exposure plan that it's free because it doesn't cost anything, not because it's free for me. This worked better than taking a link and posting it. I took, on a house that we're flipping, I took a photo of it and I put it on my personal Facebook page, and I tagged a lot of the moms that live in the same school district. You know, my friends that are in, you know, that are Facebook friends, I tagged them, and I asked the magic question. And, of course, the magic question is, you know, what 3 people do you know that need to live, that, you know, want to live in this school district? And that got 3 showings. Just by doing that, okay? That's the kind of thing you want to attract. That is, that's an exposure plan that will work.
Jenny, one thing real quick. When you're doing those links, you know, I think I see agents occasionally send them to a link where you're going to lock down the consumer to force the consumer to give their information.
Right.
Hey, I'm all about those, but not on those links where you're trying to get other people to share. Make sure we're going to a place where they can get that information and not have to register.
Right. Well, because what I found ironic were these were friends of the friends that I tagged in the photo that private messaged me to say, hey, where can I see this? What's the address here? I didn't put all the information. I just put the photo and asked the question. I mean, it worked beautifully for what we want. I mean, how many times do you do one little item that takes less than 10 minutes and you get 3 showings out of it? So that is an excellent tip. And of course, you know, get just some of the photos out on Twitter. If you start saying too much, then it becomes cloudy, and again, you become white noise, and then people start hiding you because all you do is talk about real estate on your personal page. That is what you want to avoid. You want to completely avoid that. You know, for those of you who watch Million Dollar Listing, some of the ways that the houses are sold are from the silly photos of the agents in their 3-piece suits doing crazy things inside the houses, because that's what gets attention. It's not the fully polished stuff that a lot of times people are interested in. They want to know the real story behind it, because everybody knows not everything is perfect, and it's okay to show the flaws and the differences.
You know, Jenny, one thing, you know, I know many of the folks here have been here when Frank's been here, Frank Klesitz. If anybody is friends with him on Facebook, watch his posts. You can learn a lot about Frank without having to learn. You know what business he's in, but he also exposes a little bit about himself throughout the, hey, I know he loves electronic dance music, but I also now know he's awaiting a child, and we're learning about his family and all that without even saying anything. But at the same time, the next thing you know, the next post may be something that he's heard, you know, through a business event that he's been to or something like that. So he mixes it real well, and I think what it does, it endears people to him and really makes them have a strong connection with them. And I think a lot of times we all can take that to heart, because we want people to have genuine connections with us as people than as business people.
And I think that's fun, like Jenny was talking about the realtors being in the bathtub. You can be professional, but if someone's going to buy a house, you need to make the experience as fun as possible too. So if they know that you've got a little bit of a lighthearted side, and if they, you know, get to know you, I think all things equal, they're going to do business with the friendlier agent. Not necessarily friendly at the time of negotiations when you need to get down and get dirty, but someone that's not going to, you know, make the experience miserable. It needs to be as pleasant as possible.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, so anything else on social media that you feel is necessary to say for the plan? I do think highly targeted Facebook ads work. Because you are putting yourself or putting the property, again, if you're selling the lifestyle, it's not the feature. If you do the ad correctly and you hit the right target market of, for instance, one of our agents the other day, she has this incredible RV garage. Okay, that's an unusual thing. It's a $700,000 house, exclusive area. She put an ad out on Facebook and clicked the interest of RV, so that she's hitting the right market that would be interested in this type of feature.
Wait, Jenny, one thing though that plays into what you're talking about is all these, and they drive me nuts, by the way, but these Vestavia Trading, the North Shelby Trader, and all these certain things, those are very targeted audiences. And
yes,
I
the
think,
private groups.
Yeah, the private groups, but it's not so private, I don't think, from likes of who all's, you know. But it's really hitting a very target, like it's particular. If you're not in our area, Vestavia is a very, it's probably the second or third most affluent area in our market. And when you're only post at one time, you're gonna see. I look at all the real estate that gets posted there. They get tons of responses and shared. Yeah. It's a very targeted.
Yeah, I think people are always interested in real estate, and like Jenny was talking about with the RV, you can search Facebook sites that have to do with our RVs. And like one of our agents has this great listing with a horse farm, so she's gone on Facebook and found websites local sites that are for horse lovers, and that is the target market of her listing. So she's going and she's posting interesting facts about her house there, and she's getting an incredible response. So I think you've got to think outside the box when you're marketing, especially unusual properties.
I agree completely. So loving the different things that you can do that's highly targeted, not just the regular postings. Make sure you have purpose behind each one of your marketing points that you put in your exposure plan. Okay, so direct mail. Direct mail, I feel, is where you need to be because nobody else is. And when everybody is filling up your email box, then you do something differently and fill back up the mailbox again. Every Door Direct offers you inexpensive ways for you to grab that mind share. Again, we asked that question early in your exposure plan, who's my target market, where do they live, where do they hang out? Now that you've identified where they are for your particular property, then you need to be hitting them in the mailbox and letting them know that you have this property for sale and why they need to come and take a look at it. And again, use the buzzwords and the hot buttons for that target market because every segment and every niche has them. Make sure you make your message one that is powerful enough to entice them to come take a look at your property. You cannot sell your property until somebody at least has some interest. You might also want to hit up the neighborhood, and what we love about that is you can either do that with open house on steroids and invite all the neighbors to come over first and just say what it really is. Don't say something silly like pick your neighbor. They will later. They will pick their neighbor after you say what's most important to them first, right? You always start with, hey, what's in it for me? Well, what's in it for a seller? When there's a house down the street, they want to know how much is that house, and man, mine is so much more better than that one, so I know mine's worth way more. So just say it. Say, come on over and compare your house to this one. It's on the market for this amount of money. I guarantee you'll get people to show up. I tested this the other day. We had 20-something people show up just so they could compare their house with this one on the market. And what do you find out when that happens, Kimberly?
Every time it's like potential home sellers walking into your open house, they always think that they live in the best house on the street, and they always think they can get more money, and then that's your chance to get, a listing appointment. So yeah, everybody thinks they live in the nicest house on the street. It's just fact. So give them permission.
Right, and how you attract the buyers with that is you say no pressure. You don't have to set up an appointment. Come view this between this time and this time, and not have to worry about bothering an agent to open the door for you, right? Because that's another thing that will make it easy on that consumer. Then when you fill it up, the house comes alive with people. And if you can meet 2 potential home sellers in an open house, I think you've had a great Sunday. And if you can meet several new buyers, lots of our agents have had 50 people come to open houses, 30 people come to open houses. If you don't do it properly, you might only have 2, if you have any at all. So there's a definite plan there. We do have a plan. If you're interested in the open house on steroids, we'll be happy to send that to you for free. Just let Scott know here that you want a copy of that. Okay, so now we've hit direct mail. We've hit internet. We've hit social media. What are some other ways that we can get high exposure for our listings? Kimberly?
One of the things that I did for some of my clients, you partner together with your sellers. So it's my job as an agent to help market your house. There's so many other agents in our market area. So probably another agent's going to bring the offer, but if we can work together to get your house sold, that would be great. I've had agents work at big utility companies, at car plants and things like that, and I would do business cards of their listings. Maybe they work at a huge hospital, and so when they tell sellers,
yeah, you have sellers work there, right? So
sellers, did I say buyers? Yeah, sellers that work at a huge hospital or car plant or something. I would make business cards of their listings, And then they would tell people that their house was on the market, and here's a card. It would give a little bit of information, and they loved passing out business cards to their house. And it's another thing, just like with the holidays coming up, maybe trick-or-treaters come into their house. They could hand out trick-or-treat candy and have, you know, information about their house attached to the bag, of course, with the agent's information on there too. There's several different ways, but I found sellers, if you really partner with them, they really like to work with you to get their house sold, especially when they know that you have their best interest at heart.
Right, and if you could even do some cute little videos and send that out maybe through Constant Contact or MailChimp out to your sphere of influence, then you could also send it to your seller to send to his sphere of influence. And then you've got this mountain of people being touched, thousands of people being touched, and lots of exposure. You know, Scott, we have about 10 minutes left on our call, and we've shared a lot of information with you today to build that exposure plan, but there are thousands more ideas that we can help you put together in a special marketing and exposure plan that's just for you, because we want you to have one that's unique to what you offer and unique to your market as well. We've created the Certified Home Marketing Expert designation, and this is where you can get these checklists. We build this plan together during this designation time, and you also will get with your designation your pre-listing packages, ideas on how to promote yourself before the appointment. You'll also get a copy of a listing presentation. So many times I have people that will come in and say, you know what, I'm a heavy lister. I've never once even had a presentation before. Well, it doesn't have to be elaborate. It just has to be powerful. So we help you put all of that together during this designation. And Scott, you and I were talking earlier about this. Yes. The only way that you can get this designation and all the press behind it is by joining us for our six-figure cruise in January. We set sail on Celebrity, so we're real excited about it. It's full luxury, and it's a whole week of bonding with top agents across the country. And Collier, you went on both of you went on the trip with us last year. Collier, tell us about what you enjoyed last year and what you're looking forward to this year.
Well, you know, one of the best things was actually getting to know my fellow realtors without a cell phone. One of the best things is you are completely untethered out there on the open water. You know, we learned a lot, especially, but you really get to know each other. But the continuing education, the coursework, it was all really fun, because you're in an environment that is conducive to fun. And you know, it's great too, because you can bring the family. You know, my daughter and wife, and you know, we had so much fun that this year we're bringing my wife's bringing my mother and my father, so that my daughter has somebody to play with, so she can play with all of us at night. But it was just an amazing experience, and I think that you know, it's not only worth the time for what you're going to learn in the marketing, because you'll come away with, I mean, so much information. Because Jenny's giving me a sneak peek a little bit, because I know she holds back, you know, on me a little bit sometimes. So I'm looking forward to that. But really, I can't tell you enough. It thoroughly is one of the events that I'm now looking forward to, because I hope she keeps doing them every year. But it's an amazing experience and a ton of fun. I mean, even when you're out on the islands, or you know, this one's going St. Thomas, St. Martin, and San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, we're going to Puerto Rico.
Hey.
Sweet.
Well, what we can do, we're going to be selling the Eastern Caribbean, and we're going to be working on our business, having fun, networking with each other, and then, of course, we have plenty of private time with our family members that are coming along on the cruise with us. So it's for 7 days. Go now and take a look at it so that you can register, because not only will you get time to work on your business away from your cell phone, we're going to be doing a couple of different workshops even other than this designation, but when you get off of this cruise, you're not only going to become a certified home marketing expert, you're also going to have all of your CE complete. That's if you're in the state of Alabama. If you're in a different state, I will submit this designation for approval in your state so that we can make sure that your continuing education is taken care of also. But you're also going to have some high-minded business workshops behind you so that 2015 is going to be your year to knock it out. Go to sixfigurecruise.com and take a look at that now. And you can register to come on the cruise with us. It's going to be a fantastic time.
Jenny, when's the deadline on that?
Let's see. We need to make sure that you get registered by, I think, November 10th.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go ahead and reserve your room today, we already have 64 people, I believe, that are going to be joining us on the cruise, maybe even more than that right now. So it's going to be a great time and very high-minded experience. Kimberly, anything you want to add to that?
Well, I mean, I think the fact that you'll get to hear Collier doing karaoke is worth that money alone. Yeah, that was the highlight of my cruise last year.
I can attest to that too.
The caliber of agents that are coming on the cruise with us, it's top producers, it's people that are business minded, that are looking for better ways to do business. Those are the kind of people that it's going to attract, the kind of agents. It's also going to attract agents that are looking for a tax deduction, which is never a bad thing. And I think this designation, we're talking about listings today, that's going to be a really, really important designation for your home seller or for your potential seller client. That's really going to set you apart. And we did have a fabulous time last year. And you get to interact with agents that you'll potentially do business with if you're in maybe the Birmingham market. But if you're coming from another market outside of Birmingham, what better way to establish some referral partners? So I think that would be a great thing. I can't wait.
Well, good. I hope that you've been able to take a lot of this information that we've shared today. We've kind of thrown a bunch at you as you have been building your plan. And again, if you want to join us on our six-figure cruise in January, you can get the rest of the information in a very systematic format that you can easily implement into your business. If you need help developing it now because you just can't wait till January, then reach out to Kimberly and to me at GetARealEstateLife.com. That's what we're here for. We're definitely here to help you. Scott, I don't know if you have anything else to add as we wrap everything up.
Well, I'll put my email on the Google Plus page, guys. I know a couple of you are asking about that, so you can email me for what Jenny was offering. But that's it. That's all I have to add. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for watching 60 Minutes to Six Figures. Join us again next month where I know that we will come up with a great topic for you to learn from and to implement into your business and make you even more money. So thanks for trading your time with us today and have a wonderfully productive rest of your day.
Bye-bye.